Hello out there. This is Carrie Thrall with ABC Coaching and Counseling. I'm a board certified coach and licensed therapist, and I am here to give you your weekly training. Again, ABC Coaching and Counseling, I want to work hard to help you better your life and better understand where you can improve things and where things might not be working so well, and maybe where things are working well. And that's why these trainings, I believe, are really helpful, particularly when you're trying to get some tips or tricks on just quick improvements that you can make in a short period. So this one is special to my heart, which is getting grateful. So gratitude is one of those efforts and one of those activities that when you act on it regularly, it's hard to be putting yourself in a bad mood or a bad space, because gratitude is, when you're in a place of gratitude, it's hard to be critical. It's hard to let that inner critic take hold because you're recognizing the abundance around you rather than the scarcity. So when we think about gratitude, we want to think about how can we create that even when there's struggles around us. So even when I'm having a hard time, even when I'm struggling with holidays coming up, or family conflict, or workplace dramas, or increased numbers with COVID and people getting in the hospital. There's all different numbers of struggles and stressors around us, that it's easy to focus in on scarcity and the things that are lacking than it is to turn our mind over to a practice that will actually help us feel good and better about our current circumstances, even though there's still scarcity around us, right? Like both can be co-occurring. You can feel both grateful and have scarcity around you. All right. We can feel grateful that we have fresh air to breathe and that we're able to do what we want to do in our lives, whether it's work or with our families or in relationships, right? Like we can be grateful for different aspects, even if it feels like literally the world is falling down around us. Okay. So the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of times people will say, well, when things are going good, it's easy for me to find gratitude. And of course it is. When things are going good, like finances are where you want them to be, relationships are where you want them to be, work life is where you want it to be, the home life is where you want it to be. I mean, everything is going as you want it to be going. It's easy to look at all that and say, man, this is going great and things are going well. But there's also this moment where it's like when one shoe drops, right? When one of those things start to fluctuate as change will occur in our lives, it's easy to say, okay, well, everything was going great until this moment happened, and then all the hell broke loose, or the world started to cave in on me. And that's what the overwhelm, particularly when something dramatic happens. So if something pretty dramatic or traumatic, so D dramatic or T traumatic happen, a lot of times people will look at how things were great once in those good old days, and then things went downhill because of this incident or because of this event. So I want to point that out because nothing else really changed other than that thing happening. You still have things to be grateful for. There's still things that might be a struggle to see when you're in the middle of one of those events. And I'm not trying to disqualify those events or say that those events aren't important, but there's still things that you can say, I have this to be grateful for, and this experience is helping me learn and grow from. I'm learning from this. I'm growing into who I want to become despite or because of this experience. Okay. So all that being said, turning to gratitude will help boost your mood. It will help boost your productivity. It'll help boost your time management even, because what you'll be looking for is the abundance of what you have versus the things that you're missing. So thinking about gratitude, I also want to point out gratitude isn't just positive thinking. Okay. It's not just saying those positive affirmations. It's actually pointing out things that I'm grateful for, whether they're environmental. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have enough income to pay for food and eat healthy meals. I'm grateful for those external environmental components. but I'm also grateful for things that I create. And especially if you're trying to boost your esteem, that would be an important practice to start working on, is how can I recognize every day what I'm grateful for that I created today. All right. So it's not just trying to put a positive spin on negative circumstances. Okay. We're not just trying to find that silver lining, because that's not very effective. And for a lot of people, it's almost like we're trying to blow smoke to make bad things good. And so gratitude isn't that. Gratitude is saying, okay, there's these negative things maybe happening in my life, but I can still find those things in my life that I hold value in. Whether it's a relationship that I can say I can turn to this person no matter what, or it's a spiritual practice that I know helps alleviate burdens within myself, or it's an exercise routine that just helps boost my energy and boost my well-being, right? So it's being able to say, you know what, despite having this really hard moment, I have been able to participate in these activities, or I have been able to engage in these relationships that has helped me through some of it. Okay. So gratitude, again, is despite what's going on in the world, it's finding that thing that's of value to you, that it's the abundance that you have in your life. And it's being able to say that this is the reason that I do what I do. It's also a place where you can find meaning and purpose. So let's talk about gratitude practices. Now, there's a lot of them out there. And I have a quick journal that I'll walk through, that I'll let you walk you through the steps of it. And the reason why I want to walk you through that is because if you could do this on a daily basis, even for a week, I challenge you to try it for a week and see if this helps shift a mindset for you. Because this practice really can move you from a place of only looking at the scarcity into a place of abundance pretty quickly. So again, there's a lot of different practices out there. If you have practices that you use, please share them in the comments, because I think a lot of people are probably looking for some gratitude practices that they can turn to. This one I just like because it's quick, it's easy, and it pulls your brain into a place that really, really helps you see progress over time. Okay, so the first step to this gratitude journal is really rating where you're at, just like when you sit down at the end of your day. This is good to do at the end of the day. Rating from 0 to 10, how was my day? Okay, I'm just scoring it from 0 to 10. 0 being day wasn't that great. What could go wrong did go wrong. 10 is this has been a pretty awesome day. All right. So I rate that at the beginning. Before I do any of the gratitude practices, I rate that at the beginning. And then I'm going to walk you through how to do the gratitude practices, because I think this is where it's journaling on and acknowledging, again, the abundance rather than the lack. All right. So the next step after you rate is what my progresses and successes today. Okay. So you want to rate your top 3. Really, really think about, like, it could be as simple, especially if it's one of those 0 days, right? Like it's a rough day. It could be as simple as, you know what? I got up when my alarm went off today. It doesn't have to be, I accomplished this great big magical goal to warrant being put onto this gratitude practice. This is meant to be able to say, I want to think about all the things I've done today, and let me think about my top 3. Maybe it's I made that phone call that I've been dreading, and I'm grateful to have it over. Maybe it's, I made home cooked meals for all 3 meals. I didn't go out to eat today, whatever it is, just getting those top 3 things that you're like, man, I succeeded at this today. Maybe it's avoiding something that, is a negative habit. Okay. Maybe I didn't participate in this today, and that's a success. Okay. Pat yourself on the back. Okay. So what did you do today that required courage, or that required a positive choice? This could be that moment where you, again, avoided the thing that maybe has been pulling you down. What did you do that made you consistent with who you want to become, right? Like maybe what about that situation, or what about that action is more in alignment with who you want to be than maybe the habits you've been doing in the past. Okay. So like, for instance, instead of stopping at the Starbucks and getting the sugar bombs that they have there, I decided to drive right past. This was me yesterday. That was my pat on the back. I did not get my chai tea latte, which is one of those things that is a guilty pleasure for me. I love them, especially the pumpkin spice ones right now. But I knew that that's not serving my long-term goals of health and wellness. So I drove right past, and that would have been a pat on the back for me from yesterday, because that means I made a choice that was about the positive behaviors rather than the negative behavior that can come up, right? The next after that, so we have my progresses and successes today, and that courageous step. What was that courageous step that I took today? Or that difficult choice, that positive choice that I made? What have you learned today? What have you learned about yourself today? What inspired you today? What was one thing that was a big insight you made today? Like, what is a learning? This could be that something that went wrong, you learned there's a different way of going about doing that activity or that experience. There's a different way to approach that conversation. There's a different way to engage in this challenging situation. Okay. The next step, so we have 3 steps so far. 4th step is goals and intentions. What actions, thoughts, or steps have you taken today that's moving you toward a goal or your intention? Okay. What is just even this, again, it can be the smallest step. Maybe it is like, okay, today I decided I was going to get a workout in, even though I only had 20 minutes. That was my really intention today. Not just today, but a goal of mine is to get some more movement in. So today I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do this quick body movement routine, which has, some weights, it has some cardio, get 20 minutes in, rather than saying, couldn't do it, didn't have enough time, right? The scarcity mindset. So that was, a step I took today on one of my goals, which is getting more movement in more regularly, right? So that's an example, okay? And then you want to go into some other things that maybe had affected that rating. So what triggered me today? Like, what maybe triggered a negative attitude? What triggered maybe that negative choice coming up to the forefront? Where do I need to be kinder to myself today? Where have maybe I've been beating myself up rather than giving that nurturer some voice? What do I do that was just for me today? What did I do that was looking after me today? Some self-care. And then we move into the gratitude things. Okay, so what were my top 3 gratitudes or appreciations, either for myself or for someone else today? Find things that you genuinely appreciate. Find things that you genuinely are grateful for. And I would add in this little caveat of, what am I grateful for that I created today? Like today for me, when I fill out my gratitude journal, I'm going to say I am grateful that I created the time and space to do that workout this morning. That I committed to it, that I didn't just put it off and hit snooze on my alarm. Okay. I'm grateful that I created that space. So think about that for yourself. Like, I'm grateful for, my partner for making the coffee this morning, or I'm grateful for my kids doing the thing that I asked them to do the first time I asked. I'm grateful that, it's a sunshiny day right here in Colorado. It's a sunshiny day outside. I can look outside and see the bright sun. Those kinds of things. Again, at least one of them, though, is something that you created so that you can build up your esteem and see the abundance in the gifts that you have to offer the world. Okay. And then it's going back to rating. After doing this whole process, rate again from 0 to 10. How was my day? And remember, it's a gut feeling score. Okay. It's recognizing, what's my gut telling me that represents my day. How did I feel now after doing this? After I reviewed my day, how do I feel now about how my day went? And what's the difference from the scores from the start to the finish? If there's any difference, you might find that you rated yourself at a 1 and you're still at a 1 at the end. That's okay. The whole point of this exercise is to recognize that despite the day not necessarily going as planned, there are still things that you can find to be grateful for and appreciate. There are still things that you can learn from. There's still ways that you can grow and move your mindset into a place of abundance. And there's always a point at the end where you want to say, what else do I want to record here? What else do I want to note here? Anything else that's important that you may have noticed, even while you were doing this exercise. What did you notice while you were completing it? What was easy for you to grasp versus what were things that were more tricky to grasp? So this is an exercise that you can probably do at 10 minutes after dinner, and just have like a sheet or journal that you have these different points listed out on, and just walk through it each day. It should take you no more than 5 to 10 minutes. So it's not a really extensive process. It's not like you're going to be filling up pages and pages, but it is meant to say, how do I close my day in a way that can move me forward into that grateful mindset? So if you appreciate this might be something you add on your gratitude journal at the end of the day today. But please put comments in about what your gratitude practices are, what you currently find you can be grateful for despite the struggles that you're experiencing, and how to open your mindset into this place of abundance rather than scarcity. I'd love to see your comments and thoughts. If you have any questions or would like to talk to me more about coaching or counseling, please send me a message. I'd love to hear from you and figure out how either model of treatment would work for you. So just give me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And I look forward to seeing you all. I will not be doing a live next week because in the US we have Thanksgiving, and I will not be working on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I appreciate all of you. And if you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, please comment below. Appreciate it, and take good care. And for those in the US that celebrate it, happy Thanksgiving. Take good care.